Kaix Debonair. So we're going to see what the universe has in store for him, or what the universe might want to tell him. I'm in the glass orb. Hi, Kaix. Hold on, let me take a second to center myself because I got a little nervous seeing you. The first card we have the 5 of coins. For the second card, we have the 2 of cups. For the third card, we have the Queen of Swords. And as some of you realized, a card popped out. So for a pop-out card, we have 3 of Wands. The way that we're going to be reading this is like a past, present, future situation where we're going to look at some things from the past that might influencing the present, and then the present, you know, it is what it is, and then a possible future. And the pop-out card is going to give us a little more extra insight, extra detail to what this message is trying to give. What I'm getting from past card, I associate 5 of coins with somebody who has gone through some hardship, specifically materialistically, hardship with finances. And even though there is financial struggle, the light from the window shows some sort of window of hope. The thing about financial struggle a lot of the time is that you start to learn what's important to you, what your priorities are, because you don't have all this extra disposable income to just spend on things that you want. Instead, you focus a lot on the things that you need, because obviously there's things that you need to survive. There's things that you need to get through life. It feels like this is something that growing up from a place like this, what you take into the present or into the future you, which is the present, is a new skill set of not only practically like how to manage your finances and save money, but mostly the idea of separating what's important to you, what can take a seat at the back of your mind. Obviously, it's a challenging time. And during a challenging time like this, it's hard to see whether there will be any improvement in the future, but this card kind of is showing me that even if you didn't really see a light at the end of the tunnel, maybe if you thought that the light to this building in the card was dark, there actually was a light that was on, which shows that later on in life, when opportunity had arrived, that helped bring you out of this place. So that's really good to see, really good to know, and good to see the improvement in quality of life and improvement in the way that you carry your head on your shoulders. Going into the present, we have 2 of Cups. I really like this card when it shows up because what it tells me about the person is that already have somebody in their life who they can share everything with, who they can confide in. If things go wrong, if you're feeling really bad about something, there's already somebody in your life that you are very, very close to, that you share everything with, that you share a lot. And it feels like maybe this isn't something that you had before because of the struggle that happened in the past. It feels like instead of focusing on having another person by your side or focusing on having another person to confide in, you obviously had to focus on your own survival, or maybe even focusing on the well-being of the people around you who you were close with, whether that's, you know, family or friends, whoever you were staying with at the time. So it's good to see now that there's a person in your life who you can feel very close with, and you don't have to be afraid of sharing things. They're very supportive. And typically when, for me at least, a card like this comes out, it's kind of like a reminder to keep that person close to you because their presence in your life is going to be very valuable. Kind of like a reminder to not lose sight of them, because all the busyness of life, and especially currently, there's a lot of things that you have your mind set on, a lot of thoughts, a lot of ideas. Your hands are kind of like in a lot of different places. You're wearing a lot of different hats. It's easy to forget about the person who has supported you the most. This person has like a feminine energy. Doesn't necessarily mean that they are a woman or identify as a woman. I just feel a feminine energy of somebody who is there for you and is very like nurturing. I'm going into the pop-up card, the card that was very excited while I was shuffling to give you a message, to be like, yo, remember this thing right here. 3 of Wands. There's a guy who he's putting in a lot of effort to do what he has set his mind out to do. He has like a goal and he wants to meet it. as soon as possible. So he's pushing himself to put out all this energy into whatever the objective is. This feels very much like when you light a fire and you put the candle or the flame out in the open, and you focus on making the fire bigger and stronger, but you don't realize that nothing is protecting it. So even though you have all this focused energy and effort put into this objective that you're trying to accomplish, you must remember that a flame lasts only so long without proper attention and care and being patient. If you're patient to cover the flame with something to protect it from the outside influences and sources like wind, rain, all of that stuff, then the fire will continue. But if you just focus on keeping the fire on and trying to increase the power of the fire, then it will go out just as easily as you created it. There's a strength that I think a lot of people feel from you, but at the same time, making sure that you're not over exerting yourself for something that might go away quickly. So just trying to keep a consistent spark alive, basically. And I think this is quite a common occurrence, especially in this field of work, in content creation and things like that. Very easy to experience burnout very quickly. So it's important to know how to sustain stuff like that. How to sustain the flame, how to sustain the fire. Yeah, so that it doesn't go out. Overall, feels good taking care of yourself in order to help others. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you won't be able to take care of anyone around you. Bloop. Table. Let's see what the universe has for you. I find that with a lot of my readings for different waves, because I'm reading for a unit, similar cards tend to appear. So for the first card, we have the Three of Wands. Again, for the second card, we have Queen of Coins. And for the third card, we have Death. Seems like this card is trying to make some messages clear. It seems that from the get-go, something that maybe grew up with is having this spirit of always working very hard at whatever they're trying to accomplish. When you're young, and maybe when you're in school, or if you're working at a young age, or whether it's something with family, finding approval from family, there's always going to be a spirit of wanting to make sure that you're doing the best that you can to show what you have to offer. There's this feeling of always trying to prove yourself. So it feels like it was a reoccurring theme in his life. There was always an objective, and he was always striving towards that objective. And it could be several objectives, different goals that maybe he put a lot into and may not have gotten the result that was intended or satisfactory to him and those around him. In the case of showing up in the past, it feels like the spark or the flame that was there before may have burnt out a little bit because there was no way of sustaining it. And it was just constant, it's constant just giving and putting yourself into it and not trying to keep things balanced. And so it just kind of eventually, not of your own choice or accord, it will start to dim because you're tired. After a while, you get tired. That's naturally just what happens. So I feel like the lesson was learned there as he grew into the present. This shows in the Queen of Coins because Queen of Coins, she's quite self-confident. Not just, out of nowhere. It came over time, learning from your environment and taking from your environment to make it your own in your own space. There's a sense of, after everything, learning to become somebody who is resourceful. Because coins here, or pentacles, has to do with materialistic things of this earth. There's repeated idea again of self-sufficiency and wanting to be self-sufficient with your own self and what you have to offer. Learning what qualities that you have that you can show and offer to the world and harnessing it. There's a quote in this little book I'm reading as like a little reference. It says, "Trust in your own abilities and embrace your unique way of being in this world." I think that's a very good way of putting this present self that is showing in the cards. Trust in the abilities that you have now, that you've learned to work on. As an individual, only you yourself know how you will exist in the world. No one else can tell you how you will be or exist in the world because they're not you and they don't know you and they don't have the same abilities, or even if they do, they're expressed differently or learned differently. Next up, we have Freyo. Freyador. You look so angry in the little ball. It's okay. Nothing bad will happen to you. I'm just trying to read your future. For the first card, we have Three of Coins. For the second card, we have the Empress. And for the third card, we have the Tower. Yeah, everyone has coins so far. This is going to be an interesting read. What I'm getting so far, it feels like in the past he has accomplished many things. Feels like there have been a lot of projects that he has worked on where he's been like at the forefront. It shows that he's worked in many groups before, so there's a feeling of this togetherness that he's familiar with. Thinking about like how a project manager is working on something for a long time, and when all the elements come together and the project is complete, there's a sigh of relief. Feels like he's felt that many times before. So coming into the present, it feels good to be in a part of something again. It feels good to be in a group of like-minded people again. This is where I can flourish, because I know how to work with people, and if they work with me, then we can create something really good. Maybe he doesn't feel this way, but it feels like he's kind of a connector, that having him as part of something connects other people together. And maybe he doesn't feel that way, but it's what I'm kind of getting from this reading. And it might have to do with his aura, how he presents himself, that other people are drawn to him, and so in turn everyone kind of works around him without even realizing, and he kind of leads things, maybe not purposely, but it just happens naturally. Which, going into the Empress, very in character, because the Empress of course is somebody who has a lot of nurturing and feminine qualities. There's a sense of being, I guess, the mother, maternal qualities, that if something happened, he's able to bring people back down to earth. If people are feeling like they losing themselves or getting lost in whatever is going on, he helps ground them back. I think this makes it so that people feel relaxed around him, and so it's easy for others to maybe open up to him or try to find common ground. At the same time though, I think what happens with a lot of people who have this sort of maternal and motherly energy, they tend to take on more than they can sometimes. It feels like the tower has presented itself because there may be a point where he takes on too much, and he takes on too much of the burden being this mother figure to the people around him, that it causes an imbalance in himself. Because mothers take care of their children and they want what's best for them, and a lot of the time they want to take any pain that would be put on her children or her loved ones onto herself. And if that's not dealt with in a healthy way, then it becomes something that festers over time and can manifest later on in life, not in a good way. That's what it feels like is coming through, the message of just remembering that even though you may want to take care of others or make sure that others are taken care of, you've got to also remember to take care of yourself so that you can take care of other people. Otherwise, there will be an imbalance. Things may start crumbling around you in terms of your grasp on different things. Like maybe you're working on multiple projects at the same time, but if you're taking on too much of role of taking care of other people first, then you start to lose your grasp on the things that you're working on for yourself. It's not a good feeling. I feel like this is showing itself now in this reading because he's somebody that can kind of nip it in the bud early on so that this doesn't happen. I don't feel worried. It's more so just like a reminder, maybe a very strong reminder. And to seriously take care of yourself, and not in a way where, you know, people are always talking about self-care, but they don't actually do it. It's just like how therapists need their own therapy as well. It gotta be a cycle, you know, because everyone gotta look out for each other. Now, last but not least, bloop, Zeal. Hello, Zeal. Let's see what the universe wants to tell you. So, let's reveal for Zeal. For the first card, we have 5 of Swords. For the second card, we have 6 of Wands. And for the third card, we have Page of Cups. I feel from the beginning, it feels like the person who this reading is for is somebody who's a creative. And as we know, he debuted right out the gate with an EP. So he's a very creative person, very involved with the creative process and doing things that are artful. We have the 5 of Swords, which tells me that it feels like in the past he may have been in situations where nobody really believed in him, and in order to show what he's made of, it had to be done in a way, it had to show his success. It feels like there may have been a moment of letting go of people who used to be part of your life because they didn't believe in you, and not trying to be practical and show you the reality of things. Is more like plainly not believing in another person without any backing to it. And as a creative, you need people who can lift you up and can push you forward to strive to better yourself. And so it feels like there's some people that he had to leave behind in order to become successful in whatever field he wanted to pursue. You can really tell in the card as well. In both my personal card and also on the screen, you can see that there's people in the back kind of are walking away. They're not feeling too good. And meanwhile, person at the forefront is the one who's collecting the swords. It feels like something, of course, that had to happen, but at the same time, it doesn't make it hurt any less, because these are people that you used to call your friends, or people who used to call your closest, depending on the situation, depending on, you know, who it is. It's just a few people who used to be in his life that didn't want him to pursue creative things the way that he wanted to. And so in order to press on, you have to let those people go in order to succeed and better yourself. So that's what it kind of feels like is happening here. Hurtful, but it's part of the process of living a life that's true to yourself. Because with the Six of Wands, it feels like in the present day, it's a time when others are lifting him up for his accomplishments, for what he's doing. It's definitely a celebratory card. It feels like though that he'd rather not let the celebration go to his head. Because of the way the past was for him, there's a feeling of not being able to fully celebrate yourself or fully dive into the praise that other people give you. There's humbleness, but it also feels like a moment of trying to keep yourself in check, because you never know what people are really thinking, what people are really feeling. I feel like there needs to be a moment of believing in yourself a little bit more, believing in what you do, because you've already let those people go in the past that did not support you, and now you're able to pursue what you want to pursue, all the fullness that you can. So I guess this also feels like you should let yourself celebrate the things that people praise you for, because it will help you press on and create even more things and maybe even better things, especially going to the future. Yeah, there we go. I put a satellite emoji in the crystal ball. That works. Everyone streams Satellite by the Beat. Now we're gonna do reading for the group. We're gonna see what the universe has in store for them as a whole as By the Beat. I'll feed you soon, I know. Yeah, I think Ukina really loves By the Beat. I think Wands is a reoccurring theme for By the Beat, which makes sense to me. Let me show you guys what I mean. So for the first card, we have Judgment, then we have the Five of Wands, and then we have the King of Wands. We have some progression here, which I like to see. We like to see progression. What I'm feeling, Judgment doesn't really come out that often, but I think in this situation and in this reading, for them, is quite relevant. Judgment is a card that calls for forgiveness. Feels like there's a need to forgive yourself for things in the past that may have affected things in the present. A feeling of trying to let go of the past, acknowledging that the past may have not been the best, accepting that and releasing it and leaving it there so that you can move forward into the future. It feels like maybe as a group, a lot of things may have happened leading up to it, but there's a feeling of acknowledging that all of those things happened already. And it's something that has to be moved forward from, for maybe things that you wanted to do but couldn't do, and to not judge yourself for whatever has happened in the past. This is especially relevant coupled with the Five of Wands. Five of Wands has to do with being competitive, which is also quite relevant too. It feels like a reminder that each and every individual is strong in their own right, and there needs to be a moment of togetherness and not trying to show off what you can do individually and rather what you can do as a group. It feels like there have been moments where you guys have doubted yourselves in terms of what you have to offer, maybe doubting your own skill set, doubting your abilities. But you shouldn't do that. You're stronger together if you can show how you complement one another. If you can harness the strength of each person and meld them together, then it will become a very powerful force. This is something that will happen successfully because we got the King of Wands. And this makes me feel very good about the future of By the Beat. The King of Wands not only represents kind of like the pinnacle of being passionate about what you like to do, what you love to do, and also leadership. It represents kind of like making the impossible possible, but at the same time, trying not to put this pressure of you don't have to change the world. Change will happen. It feels like as a group, they will bring about change in certain ways, kind of like a driving force, like a motivator, motivating people around them, like an inspiring force. So overall, it's kind of like acknowledging the faults of the past, moving forward, letting go of those things, tapping into what you're good at, combining that together so that you can move forward as a unit and showing everyone the passion and the leadership that you have, which in turn will motivate other people around them to also make changes.